Hello and welcome back to the channel. I just thought I would do something a bit different today. It's not your average Renault, believe it or not. If I told you I was going to do a review on a Renault Laguna, most people would probably just scroll on and think, boring. But what a car. A Laguna Mark III Coupe. And I'm no big fan of French cars, even though we own one. That used to be mine. But I'm not a big fan of them nevertheless, as in their reliability. But with today's quality of vehicles, even your new Volkswagens and Audis, I don't think Renault's much far behind now. But what a cracking car this looks. If you did not know that badge from the back end of this car, you know, that's like an Aston Martin or something like that. I must admit, I have to say, this is definitely in my top 5 of good looking cars. And I will also say as well, is the Mark III Laguna is not actually a bad car at all. We owned one for 2 years prior to this, to buying that. We had one as a garage car. Didn't look nothing like this, but they still looked like a funky looking car. And you know what it is, it was no bother. That was the 1.5. This is a 2 litre DCI. It's known as the M9R engine. And before everybody straight away shouts about the injectors on them, it's nothing like that. It's only on the Vivaro vans and the vehicles that share the same chassis. The normal vehicles with this engine in, the injectors are absolutely no problem. The good thing with this is it's an automatic, and it's the 2 litre diesel. I think it's either the 180 or the 200 brake horsepower. So just because it's a diesel doesn't mean to say it's any kind of slouch, because this car certainly drives lovely. And that automatic gearbox, whatever it is, I'm not sure if this one's got Renault's version of the DSG in, called something else. This one I think is a traditional sort of hydraulic gearbox in it, and it drives lovely. But look at this, it's just great, isn't it? So we'll start from the front anyways. As you can see, bi-xenon headlights. It's got the cornering lamps in, the headlight washers, lovely chrome kind of grille, the sleek markings across. You know, you've got your indicators in the mirrors. You know, this is no 9-plate car, so you know we can't expect full-on top-end spec. You know, one thing with these cars, we had discs and pads not long ago. You've got to get the bearings as part of the disc, which is something to note with any Renault. If you buy a Renault and you look at the back brakes and they look a bit grubby, just remember they're not cheap, because they always come with the bearings in. So don't just pass it off as being a cheap. Well, it's not a terrible job, but they're not the most, you know, cheap jobs they've done. Beautiful twin chrome pipes at the back. Unfortunately, I hate me DPFs, and it's got the DPF, but you've got no choice anyway with the high output M9R engine. Oh, brilliant. So we'll head around to the front. We'll do a bit under the bonnet. I'll just turn these lights off so it doesn't flatten the battery. And I'm going to the wrong side, open the bonnet, even though I've just serviced the car. It's my memory for it. It's got the full contactless key entry system on it, so you just need to use the card to enter the car. So we'll have a look under the bonnet. I'll just bear with us. The bonnet as well, by the way, aluminium, light as a feather. Just bear with us, put the bonnet up. And there you go, plastic galore like any car. I'll mention, like I've said in a few of my other videos, whenever you're going to buy a car and you specifically don't want one with a DPF, you look on this number. On Renault, it's always on the panel here. See, that's 0.50, and that symbol there means it's got a DPF. So anything 0.50 or less, you've got a DPF. Anything more than that, it's a cat. Like if you look on that Espace, I think it's something like 1.4, and it's just got a box in with no dots, which means it's just a cat. And that's got the same engine as this, but this is the 180 version or the 200, where that's the 115. So as you can see, there's there's not much to see. They have a nice easy engine to work on actually. The oil filters underneath, the usual Renault rubbish where you've got to pour the oil down the dipstick, which I hate because it's impossible to get a reading of the oil. You know, everything else, the fuel filter on these are down in our wing, but actually they're not a bad job to do. And that really cheap air filter, 2 little clips, nice to see. Can't say that for that, because that is a nightmare to get anything. You've got to take all this wipers off and everything just to do the air filter on it. This engine, again, no timing belt, it's a timing chain. This was developed with Nissan and Renault. I'm not going to say it's a full Japanese diesel engine, because it is not, but Nissan definitely had some involvement with this engine, and you can tell because it is very refined compared to the K9K 1500 Renault diesel engine. This is a much nicer engine. They did them in all sorts of power, I think from the 115, which is in that Espace, up to 130, I think they did, which I had in my Laguna too. They actually had these engines in the older Lagunas, and they've just been developed up. I think they do a 150 version, a 180 and a 200. So that's under the bonnet. As we know with these kind of cars, it's not that much to see. Nice to see hydraulic power steering as well, because I hate all this new electronic steering. It's rubbish. We'll just go out to the boot. Even just that's just a nice little kind of, you know, wave. Just the nice hidden switch in the centre of the badge, which we all know the nickname, the Diamond of Doom. But to be quite honest, this car's been no bother for this guy. Just general servicing every year. And look at that, you know, I would say that's a nice size boot as well for a coupe. You know, you've got all your extra luggage underneath. I would imagine further down to this, if I can get my hands in, there you go, full size spare wheel. So, you know, quite a functional car. I look, you know, just little things like that, you know, just looks nice. It's just a bit different, you know, obviously some kind of spring-loaded hinge or something, or the hinges must go underneath. Nice sculpted back window. That really does look nice from the back, I must admit. So we'll jump inside for two reasons. So you can see the interior, and the second because I can't feel my fingers, it's freezing. We'll pull the seat up. Unfortunately, this isn't like a nice top spec one. Just cloth interior, but nevertheless it's nice. Got your centre armrest. I don't think there'll be a great deal of headroom if you're a 6 foot. I'm saying that you probably could fit in. I think it would be quite claustrophobic with the window line being so high, but hey ho, that's part of the choice you take, wanting a nice stylish coupe, isn't it? But there's not much space there, I must admit, but that seat's pushed all the way back. Let's have a look at this to a driving position, which would be about there. Yeah, legroom's not the best, but again, you don't buy a 3-door coupe for legroom. Actually saying that seat, hold on, I'll sit in here to be in a comfortable driving position, which would be this. Let's have a look. Yeah, actually legroom is terrible, and I'm not 6 foot, I'm about 5'9". So nah, I think if you were 6 foot driving this thing, you would not have space for passengers. But as I've just said, that's not what you buy a car like this for. And again, pearless doors, that is a must on a car like this. That just finishes it off for me. Being a Renault though, as you might hear, that's just the typical French door, you know, like I'm not going to big up the German cars, but it doesn't sound very nice. And we'll jump in. I'm just going to shut the window so I don't get disturbed of somebody coming in. Well, first things before I shut the window, I'm not a big lover of these. It is full keyless contact to get in, but it's a pain because you put this in and it switches the ignition on. But if you want to just sit in the car without like having the ignition on, I don't know, just sit like, you know, just with the ignition off if you're waiting for somebody, the only way to turn it off is to pull the key out. But then it knocks all your power off if you want to charge your phone. So you've either got to sit with the ignition on, wasting your battery, and then if you press it as if, see, with this being an automatic, with a manual, you can just sometimes knock them into gear. But with this, as soon as you touch the button, it starts the engine. I don't want the engine started. I just want to turn the ignition off, but be able to have the accessories on, you know? So the only way I've found you can do it is to basically, you can't even when I'm pressing the brake, it won't let you take it out of park. And if you press that button, there we go, see, it just starts the engine, which we don't want started. So the only way I've found is while it's running, put it into neutral, or into reverse or something, switch the engine off, and then when it's in reverse, it'll then let you have the functions on to be able to knock the ignition down. It's a daft idea. This did actually used to bug me, so now I'm having to sit here with everything going when I don't want to go. So we'll just put the window up. So again, back to this. So everybody knows with Renault, it's this silly idea with these cards, and they're very expensive as well. if you break them. So we'll start off with the basics in the interior. This, like I've said, this car's not a high spec, just cloth interior. You know, still nice, very comfortable. You know, I remember this one from my Laguna, a nice little hidden cup holder, always nice to see. Regular size glove box. Obviously front electric windows, the backs are not, there's nothing adjustable back there. So we'll just switch it on, I'll start it up, because we have no choice. So obviously, if you notice with it having the bi-xenon headlights, you don't have your headlight leveling. So if anybody wonders why, if you have a car with bi-xenon headlamps, you won't have a headlight leveling switch, unless you have a L200, it seems, because mine doesn't. Mine does, because you've got sensors on the front and back suspension which alter your lights. So it's got parking sensors as well, and it's also got like the ESP, it's like a kind of stability control system. As I've mentioned, I've just done a service reset video on this. This is your computer control. So, you know, you just go through, what's this car got on? 83,000 mile. And it's just like any other car, you know. As you can see, it's just had the service today. Just your average, you know, like trip computer, which also shows your automatic like kind of system here. So if you move it into reverse, you see all that. So that's that. Pretty basic dashboard, but it's nice, it's functional, it works, it's clear. You know, I can't really complain at that. You've got your automatic lights as well, which everybody knows I'm not a big fan of, because I personally just think they come on too often. And again, with these bi-xenon headlights, they cost a fortune for new bulbs. So when they're on, you want to just leave them on. You don't want them to keep flicking on and off every time you go through a tunnel. So, you know, also it's got the headlight washers. If you put the lights on, activate the screen wash, it'll also wash the headlamps, which we'll show. We'll see what it's like. Yeah, that extra noise going there, that's the headlamp washers going at the front. As you can hear that noise there, you see. So we'll knock them off. On the entertainment system, this again is just a base spec one, so it's just like a normal kind of CD player. I'm just going to turn the volume down on the radio. There we go. So, you know, it's still like a nice sort of white kind of colour with black background, which I think looks quite stylish. And you've got, again, my Laguna 3 was like this. I quite like this system. It's not too bad to work with. Got your air conditioning. It's the usual sort of back to front thing Volkswagen decided to do as well with the eco mode. So basically, if you want your air conditioning off, you have the light on, and if you want your air conditioning on, the light's off. Why does it need to be that confusing? Why not just have a button to say on and off? But no. So basically, a lot of people are constantly running the air conditioning all the time, unknowingly, because they think that means off, but actually it's when you press the button, it's off. And when the light's on, it means off. And that's not just on these, that seems to be the same with Volkswagens and a few other cars. So that's a bit daft. But it does work, and it's quite easy to use. You know, you've got like that, it hasn't got a heated screen, that's just to clear the screen quickly. Your heated rear screen, door locks, hazards. And then like I've just shown you, you've got like I'm not quite sure what other functions this thing does. I think it's just basic really, yeah, it's just radio and stuff. It hasn't got the sat nav, because the one I had did have the sat nav and had the bigger screen. So, you know, that's that. You've got a standard CD player, your stop start. Actually, it's not stop, stop start button. I don't believe this car is stop start, otherwise it'd have a button down there, which it hasn't. Two weird things with this car, which I do not understand. So as we can see, it's got the bi-xenon headlights, which will have been an optional extra. It's got the parking sensors, which would have been an optional extra, not cheap, and neither are bi-xenon headlights either. But we don't get any front fogs. Yet it's got cornering lights, which means when you turn left and right, as a bulb comes on, they're equivalent to front fog lights, but they're not. So you don't get any front fog light activation. And I know we've got bi-xenons, but they're not that fantastic. Believe it or not, they're not that good sometimes. So that's a bit of a weird thing not to have. And the main thing with this car, as you can see, I'm not saying it's a top spec, but it's a high-end, nice-looking car. You know, it wouldn't have been a cheap car on its day. I would imagine it would have probably cost about 30 grand, something like that, 25, 30 grand. And this little blank button here, anybody guess what that's meant to be for? Maybe some people don't care, but I would be really disappointed at that. This is your cruise control and speed limiter button, which you normally have the buttons on there. Actually, it's there. So yeah, you get a nice leather steering wheel, but they've took away, like again, my Laguna was just a 1.5 diesel base spec one, and that had the cruise control on. It also had the panoramic roof as well. This has just got just a basic roof. So yeah, I think that's a real shame on this car. You got your front electric heated mirrors and 2 front electric windows, but that would really bug me, and it's always bugged me with this car. I've serviced it for a lot of years. Why would you go get a nice car, getting all the bi-xenon headlights and everything, and not get front fog lights and not get cruise control? Bit of a, and nice, you get an automatic. Somebody who buys an automatic is not necessarily bothered about the thrill of driving. They're just wanting something nice to drive, which it is, definitely. So you've got your nice automatic gearbox, you're up to speed, you've got a long drive, and you've just got to keep your foot planted on that throttle for hours on end. Can't understand that, but it might have just been a demonstrator car, who knows. But yeah, shame that's missing. And again, everybody knows I do not like these things. I think they're even more pointless of an automatic, because it just you need to leave them in park, but whatever. But I will say, Renault's system for this is fantastic. I'm not keen of Vauxhall's one on that, but with the Renault electric handbrakes, they do actually work okay. You see if you hear, look, you put it into drive and the car's held on in park, and the minute you just blip the throttle, handbrake off, and we're moving. So I do like that idea, because you just put the handbrake on like so. To take it off, you just put it into drive, touch the throttle, blip the throttle, there you go, off, and you're moving. So yeah, I do like that idea with these. Really good system, and it does work, so I will give them credit for that. And it's been like that from the Laguna 2. Wasn't keen of the old Laguna 2s where it was a stupid little pull handle thing down here, because it was right out the way for getting to it when you come to a hill. Yeah, so that's about as far in depth as I go with these videos. Again, we're lacking a dipped in mirror. Wouldn't have been much to ask for, would it, if they've gone to the extent of putting you the rain sensor and light sensor on? Wouldn't have been too much to ask for. I'm trying not to do in this car is touch too many things on the interior, because of the state of my hands, because I'm at work. So yeah, again, we'll just jump out. Looks like we're the Renault garage today, because there's another Clio hiding behind the Espace. So yeah, so that's the Laguna 3 Coupe. Really nice car. Let us know what you think of these videos. Leave a comment in the section below. Like, subscribe, and again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.